I wanted to be a member of the most powerful clique in school.
Dear Diary, Heather said she teaches people real life.
You were nothing before you met me. You were a Girl Scout cookie.
Does it not bother you that everybody in this school thinks that you're a piranha? Like I give a shit.
Heather number one just looked right at me. You a Heather?
No, I'm a Veronica. I don't really like my friends.
I don't really like your friends either.
They're people I work with, and our job is being popular.
Maybe it's time to take a vacation.
I just killed my best friend.
And your worst enemy.
Same difference. My teen angst has a body count. This is a tragic thing.
Hallelujah.
We scare people into not being assholes. What did you say, dickhead?
I did not want them dead.
You did too.
Did not. Shut up.
I love my dead gay son.
You were out of control. That life is filthy.
What do you think I'm gonna do with it? Take out her tonsils? Is this as good for you as it is for me?
Life and suck.
That's it. We're breaking up.
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Dorking Out. My name is Sonia Mansfield, and my teen angst bullshit now has a body count. Joining me is my podcasting sister from another mister and the co-host of Dorking Out, Margot D. Hello, my friend.
Fuck me gently with a chainsaw, Sonia.
This movie's so fucking quotable. So quotable. We are dorking out about 1989's Heathers. It's directed by Michael Lehman. It's written by Daniel Waters, and it stars Winona Ryder, Christian Slater, Shannen Doherty, Lisanne Falk, Kim Walker. That was really sad what happened to Kim Walker later. Like, very sad.
I think it's Lisanne Falk.
What did I say?
Lisa Ann.
Oh, sorry, Lisanne.
Lisanne.
My apologies.
She was a big time teen model, and I remember her. She was like in 17 magazine and stuff.
Yes.
I was a fan.
Yeah. Also, Renee Estevez as Betty Finn. She's adorable in this movie. Everybody drink. I'm sure you saw this in the theater. Did you see this in the theater? You didn't?
No.
Oh my God. I was positive you saw this in the theater.
No, I probably wanted to see it. I had it in my mind to see it. But, and this is another thing people don't know, is that this movie was not a big hit.
No, it was a bomb. It was a
Yeah.
bomb. I saw it in the theater with my friend, and it was pretty empty. Like, opening weekend. So, yeah. I would have sworn you were one of the 5 people to have seen it. Did you watch it later? Like, you rented it, or it became like?
I definitely rented it right away because people kept talking about it. So, like, as soon as that was probably like 6 months later or something. But
I think people assumed that this was like a movie that like took over the world and teenagers were obsessed with, and they did become obsessed with it, but it wasn't in the theater. This movie had a budget of $3 million. It made a little over $1 million. That's nothing. Like, that's the like craft service budget for a Marvel movie. Maybe, probably not. It's probably
even
higher.
Yeah, no. That's like the tanning bed budget or something. For a Marvel movie. Also, the movie company, they went out of business like as soon as the movie was released. So they didn't even put any marketing into it. I knew MTV interviewed Winona Ryder, and they were behind it when MTV had a movie show.
Right.
And so that did make me want to see it, but I was like, I just don't think it was playing anywhere by the time I was getting around to it.
Right. I'm sure that what influenced me was the poster. I saw a movie. I was working at a movie theater at this point, so I had seen the poster, and I was like, that 100% looks like something I'm going to see. So I ran out and saw it. And then, of course, when it came on video, I rented it a lot. It's been on cable a lot. And then recently, Heathers has popped up on Netflix. So there's all these people who watch like Mean Girls, and now they're watching Heathers, and you can draw like a straight line from Heathers to Mean Girls. They are very, very similar. I should also mention this movie is celebrating its 35th anniversary, which makes me feel really, really old. Really old. I am super curious what teenagers would think about this movie now. I have only one point of reference here, which is my niece Lucy saw it and she really, really liked it. But I don't know, because there are things in this movie that absolutely do not age well.
Yeah.
To say the least.
Into those.
Yeah. There's a lot of gay slurs thrown around. In the movie's defense, all those people are terrible people. Like, they would say those things. But still, we don't like hearing them. It's, and there's a lot of sexual assault in this movie that is...
played for laughs.
Some of it is played for laughs, and some of it is played like it's like no big deal. And I understand that in the 80s... stuff like that kind of was no big deal. People didn't talk about it. We pretended like it wasn't happening, but it's disturbing to watch it now.
It's a few of the John Hughes movies.
Yeah.
You can,
So that stuff definitely doesn't age well. And, well, let's just start.
It's been 35
Yeah,
years.
no kidding. Like
we gotta,
Yeah, but some things do stand up really well. Like all the slang in this movie was ridiculous in 89 and it's still ridiculous now. The fuck me gently with a chainsaw. Did you have a brain tumor for breakfast? Like, what's your damage, Heather? Like all of that was ridiculous then. It's ridiculous now. It's not, because that stuff was like, people didn't really talk like that. So
no, but that's like Clueless.
Yes.
Like they were smart and created their own slang, and that's how you do it.
Exactly. So I guess we'll just start at the beginning. It is,
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Let's do it. Also, I love the line, bulimia, so 87. It's such a weird quotable movie. Okay, so the movie is set in high school, obviously, and there's these three just beautiful girls, all named Heather, Kim Walker, Shannen Doherty, and Lisanne Falk. And then we have Veronica, played by Winona Ryder, who I was obsessed with when I was a teenager, because she seemed so beautiful and cool to me. She was in a movie called Lucas, which maybe we'll cover one day. Yes.
But that movie played all the time on HBO, like on a loop, like in the mid 80s. And then she does Beetlejuice.
Yes.
And then she does this movie, and then her career just skyrockets.
Yeah. And she was like so cool in this movie to me. I tweeted out a picture, or I think I posted on Instagram the picture of her in like the sweater that's like off the shoulder with the black dress and the suspender. I was like, I want to look like her so bad.
I still want to look like her.
Yeah, she's so cool.
Yeah, she is.
So these girls they're the queen bees. They're the mean girls, to put it in modern terms. They rule the school. And the school is that typical 80s school. It's got like these jocks that are fucking terrible. They're so gross. Like everything is like, I want to just put her on my dick, and like everything is like my dick this and my dick that. And I
knew guys that talk that way though.
Totally new.
Oh,
Teenage boys are so
predators, some of them. Seriously, predators. Like the raging hormones. And I don't know if kids drink now. I think maybe they take pills or something now. But they were really into binge drinking in the 80s, and it made them into fucking monsters.
Yes. And it was about like that toxic masculinity is what we would call it now, but that's not what we were calling it at the time. At the time, it was just like, well, that's just how they are.
It's dudes.
They're just dudes being dudes, and they are horrible, and they are all about like drinking too much, getting laid no matter what, and then bragging about it to each other. There are definitely dudes like that. You know? And then there were nerdy people and nerdy guys, and not hashtag not all men. Like, not all of them are like that, but there were definitely these guys are caricatures in this movie, but they're caricatures for a reason. They existed.
Right.
But so they're walking through the cafeteria and we're kind of getting the lay of the land. And that's when, like, Veronica sees JD. And this is the new kid in school. His name is Jason Dean. He's Jason Dean. He's not James Dean. They didn't want to go full James Dean. He's Jason Dean, but they go by JD. And he's Christian Slater. He's totally cute. I was so hot for Christian Slater.
Who wasn't?
Right? Like this.
Please.
And like pump up the volume.
I did see that one in the theater.
Yeah. So that one. We
covered that.
Yeah, we did an episode on that. The second it was streaming, we did an episode on that one because I was obsessed with that movie. But I was all in on Christian Slater. But now I watch this movie and I'm like, he's instantly the villain to me now. But at the time, he turned into a villain over the course of the movie. But maybe it's just because I had so much internalized misogyny and was blinded by a cute boy. I don't know what your reaction was the first time.
We all were.
Yeah.
We all were. We were all hoping for a JD in high school that saw through the bullshit.
Yes. And like, she talks to him and he's, she's like, what would you do if you had all this money and you had like 2 days? And he's like, oh, I'd go out on the middle of a lake and with my sax and some Bach and a bottle of tequila. Like, I would run away from this man now if I met him. I'd be like, ew, like gross. But at the time, this was like, well, he's not a dumb jock, and that makes him instantly cooler.
He wears black.
Yes.
He's like, he probably likes J.D. Salinger. He's into grunge before,
Yes, he's into that music.
The Pixies. Like,
yes.
he knew it before everybody else.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly, which is obviously how you and I...
Turn on.
Yeah, that's how we see him now. But back in the day, I was like, oh, I'd love to go on a boat and listen to Bach with JD. Now I would throw myself overboard and swim to shore.
He also whips out a gun the first time he meets the child.
Yes.
So, I'm like, there are like some, red flags we have about him.
So many red flags. Like, because as the girl, Veronica pays attention to him. So, like, after the girls leave, the jocks are like, how come they're paying attention to him? And they run over and they like say some shit to him, drop some gay slurs, which is their thing to do. And JD pulls out a gun and shoots at them, and it turns out it's blanks. But he doesn't even get expelled from school. Now, in our day and age where sadly school shootings seem to happen weekly here, the shit's not funny to us anymore.
Right.
Like at the time, it was played as a joke. It was like, haha.
Because it's absurd. I mean,
Yes.
we've already established this is going to be an absurd movie.
Yeah, and the thought that somebody would go carry a gun to school and shoot, we would never think that would be a thing. This is before Columbine. Like, these sort of things did not happen. So,
right.
Yeah, that's one of the many red flags that pop up for JD in this movie. Also, the other thing that stood out about this movie at the time is I was so used to John Hughes movies at this point.
Yes, it's definitely a reaction against that. And, high school, really like the fetishizing of high school and teenagers as being like the best people. There's an interesting line where Veronica's parents, when I always been struck by this, like her, Veronica's doing that thing like, adults don't treat teenagers like they treat us like we're kids and blah, blah, blah. And her mother says, yeah, you get mad when we actually treat you like an adult.
Right.
And it's true.
One of my favorite random lines is she's like, you patronize us like bunnies. And the dad's all, I do not patronize bunnies. It's like so stupid. It makes me laugh. But all the John Hughes movies were about finding love at the end. Even The Breakfast Club is about teenagers hooking up at the end and finding love. So, and this movie isn't about that, and it's not doing. You think it's kind of doing that at first, again with JD and Veronica, and they like have instant chemistry, and they hook up, and we get this like Bonnie and Clyde kind of storyline for them,
Right.
and then, but ultimately she chooses herself at the end. Spoilers for a movie that's 35 years old, but she chooses herself at the end, which is very different than all the John Hughes movies I was watching. So it was another thing that stood out about me.
Also, it's well, maybe I'm wrong because Molly Ringwald was a lead in
Yeah.
a lot of those teen movies, but it's 4 girls as the main focus
Yes.
in this movie, which is unusual. And then I feel like he's playing guys like dudes, like how they are in high school at that age. You know, seniors in high school. Some of them are real assholes and have no savoir faire when it comes to women. It's just all about getting one, and not all men, but you know, when the girls go to the guys' college party
Yes.
and they get drunk and they're all expecting like, oh, please suck my dick now, it's time, right? And that's just that's their game, and it's a bummer to watch it, especially like the lead Heather
Chandler.
Heather Chandler, you know, that one scene where she spits in the mirror.
Yeah,
because she's so disgusted by herself.
Yeah, it's a very telling scene because up until that point, all the Heathers are portrayed. Actually, you have a little bit of sympathy for the other 2 Heathers. Like Shannen Doherty's character has an eating disorder, clearly as a result of her friendship with this lead Heather. And the other one is sweet and seems kind of dumb. But the lead one is portrayed as such a cold-hearted bitch the whole time.
And we all knew one.
Yes, we all knew somebody like that in high school. I wasn't even a Veronica in high school. I was a Betty. I was very like, I haven't even kissed a boy. Like that was me.
Yeah. Betty's so sweet. Yeah, Veronica. Yeah. So the thing is that Veronica had real friends, and then the Heathers adopted her.
Yes.
And so she's expected to be grateful. And that's also like seriously how it is. Like people really do expect loyalty just because they've decided you're human.
Yes.
And deserve to be with them.
Yeah, so there is a whole thing. So where the lead Heather Chandler takes Veronica to a college party, like she's getting her big shot, you know, to go to the, you know, and she pairs her up. So she immediately, like, they're college guys. They're so gross that they're even wanting to date high school girls. You know,
we all knew them though.
We knew these guys. I knew so many of these guys, and so many of my friends dated older guys when I was in high school, and I was always like, "That's gross." Like
and
even
I think they're
even
being
then,
sophisticated.
yes,
Yeah,
yes, they absolutely were like, you know, well, it's just because I'm so mature, and I was like, sure,
high school
it is.
boys are so immature, which they are, but college guys are not exactly gentlemen.
They are not.
But that's something you don't know then.
Yeah, and these guys, you know, she pairs Veronica up with just pawns her off on some dude, and he's like, it's so nice to talk to a girl and not have to ask about your what's your major. It's like gross. Like, it's just gross. And instantly he's like, what do you think you'll major in when you're in college? Because he has nothing original to say. And he tries to date rape her because again, so many of the men in this movie are trash. And and meanwhile, lead Heather is being really like pressured into like giving this guy a blowjob, and she does it, and then she spits water at herself in the mirror, which is kind of the only it is the like only moment of vulnerability we get from lead Heather.
Yeah, we feel bad for her because she really is disgusted with herself, but she feels like she's put in a position that she had to do it. Like
exactly.
Right. And so, but then she gets mad at Veronica for turning the guy down and then for throwing up on her. So,
when I never went to college. I didn't go to college. I rarely went to a party when I was in high school. No. Again, I'm not like, I'm just pretending. Like, no, I went to maybe like 2 parties. I went to some school dances where I tried to be cool and drink with people, and I drank a bunch of peppermint schnapps, and I fucking threw up all over the place.
Did you put it in hot chocolate and
No.
go to a game? I did that and
No.
threw it behind the bleachers.
Oh.
And that stuff is evil.
I can't even even now when people like peppermint schnapps, I'm like, like
Or rum and Coke. I had a lot of friends that were really into that combo.
yeah.
And I can't even. I mean, I'm just another time got really sick. I was at a party where like Mary, I'm not gonna say her last name, but like threw up in the center of the room.
Oh,
And people were just like shrugged their shoulders. Yeah.
Oh,
It
so
it was
awful.
such a drinking culture then.
Yes.
I think it's a little different now. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, well, there was the like peppermint schnapps and peach schnapps were the things that like girls like to drink. This is what girls
Wine
would
coolers.
and then it was wine coolers, and we had like Bartles and James and California Cooler, and they were like, it was like alcohol and sugar. It was like two things that were not awesome for like me at all. Like sugar makes
Right.
me bananas already, and then you throw alcohol in the mix. It's like,
It's
oh
all
boy.
Yeah, it's super sweet alcohol. But anyway, it's just like that was the culture. Like
Yes.
it was very getting fucked up was really a big part of like this is what we do when we're away from the adults. Like,
Yeah. I'm like, what
this
do
is-
kids do now? It's probably gummies, right?
I think it's gummies. I mean, I was at a Christmas party last year and it was a bunch of teenagers at the table. And I was saying like, and that they made a point to say like two of them from Australia, one was from California, one was from New York. And they're like, yeah, but nobody's really into drinking. Like it's hard
I've
to
heard
get
this
alcohol.
too. Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And it's like, to have a gummy is like a better high and nobody can smell your breath. You know, it's not, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
I wondered this because again, I have like a teenager. My niece is a teenager, and like she was going to a school dance, and there was a whole thing about they were like giving kids breathalyzers before they went in. And I remember thinking that was hilarious because I was like, kids aren't drinking. A breathalyzer is going to do nothing. It's not going to, they're all high. And
They're high on pills. They're high on weed. They're vaping.
yes.
They have way more access to things than we did. Like
Yes.
for us, you know, marijuana used to also marijuana. I sound like a cop, but
Are you on the pot?
I said pot a few weeks ago, and the person was like, "What was that?"
Oh
Like,
my
I
God, this
didn't-
is me.
I know.
I'm such a square.
I'm a huge square. Pot, weed, whatever you want to call it, grass, whatever it is, it used to not be so intense. Like you could take a few puffs and you were high, but you could still go to class. I mean, it made everything better, but it stunk and it got in your, made your eyes red and it got in your clothes. The stuff they make now is so potent that it's you know, you're taking your life in your hands. I think. Tell us if you have teenagers. Are they drinking? Do they?
Yeah, are they drinking?
On the pot?
I'm like, and
I think it's pills. Honestly, pills and
I bet it's vaping.
edibles.
Yeah, and vaping.
And vaping is huge.
Yeah, because there's a whole thing in California where they tried to pass laws about vaping and like the like candy flavored vapes that they sell because that was like attracting like teenagers, and it's a whole thing. So yeah, if y'all have teenagers, let us know. Do they drink? They take pills? Are they eating gum? I'm pretty curious. I could ask my niece, but I don't think she's going to be honest with me.
No.
She's not going to talk to her aunt about her drugs of choice. Because I'll tell on her. I would tell on her. I'm a narc. So anyway, they go to the party. Veronica throws up all over lead Heather's shoes. So she goes home and she writes in her diary. That's a running thing throughout the movie too. She's writing in her diary. Her
and a monocle.
She has a monocle, and I'm like, what's that about? Like,
she's just being quirky and
is
different.
Is she quirky and different, or does she really like have one eye that
she can't read out of?
It's fine.
I think it's great. I kind of like it. It's
I should get
different,
2 monocles. And I'll I'll put them in.
You scritch up your face.
Yeah, that's true. I'll just that's how you get wrinkles. That's how you get wrinkles. That's how you get wrinkles, Sonia. So she's back in her room, like writing in her diary, and then JD like climbs through her window, which is super
Red flag.
Red flag number 2. Actually, I will say number 3 at this point, because first I was like the whole Bach and sax and boat. I was like red flag number 1. Number 2, he brings a gun with blanks, and number 3, he just happens to know where you live and climbs up through your window uninvited. Then they play strip croquet, but that's all off screen, and they've now hooked up. And they talk about like how she wants to get revenge on Heather. She wants to make her throw up. She wants to make her puke her guts out. So they go over to lead Heather's the next morning, and they're going to try to come up with some sort of concoction to like make her puke. And like he immediately is like, you're trying to give her like Drano, basically.
Right.
And Veronica's like, that stuff will kill her. And he just continues pushing this idea, and she's like, I'm just going to give her milk and orange juice, and maybe we could spit in it or something, which neither of them can hawk up a loogie. They go to give her, Veronica grabs the wrong cup, and JD knows she has the wrong cup, and he doesn't stop her. He's the one who gives lead Heather the cup and like dares her to drink it, basically. And she's like, I'm really going to drink this because you're making me feel like a chicken. And then it works. And she drinks it, and it's pretty
intense.
Yeah. She like, grabs her throat. She says corn nuts and like falls through a glass table, which, by the way, crashing through tables really hurts. Says someone who tripped and fell through a table recently. Oh, and I wasn't even on any of the pills or vapes or alcohol that the kids today may or may not be into. Anyway, Veronica's super fucked up about it, but they decide to forge a suicide note. And because Veronica apparently can copy everyone's handwriting. She's very gifted. She can copy anyone's handwriting, so she copies Heather Chandler's, and they write her a suicide note that is way more eloquent than Heather would probably be.
Right.
And then they leave, and all this note does is the fact that Heather died, and then the note that's like, nobody really knew the real me. I was more than just being pretty and popular, like all of those things, which, by the way, are true. Like, Heather really was more than just being pretty and popular. But it, like, endears her to everyone at the school who even hated her guts before this. Now they, like, feel bad that they hated her. It's made her even more popular at school. And it's so gross, too. They're, like, passing the suicide note around in class. And
well, it's okay, so this is it's dark, but this is my defense of that is that I don't remember this, but there were some, it was suicide in teenagers, which is not a laughing matter.
No.
For sure. But there used to be movies about it.
Yes.
And it always like really hyped up the drama.
Yes.
And it almost glamorizes what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
It glamorizes their depression, isolation. And I think it has the opposite effect of what it should do. And
yes.
So I think the writer is making a point about the fact that they don't go immediately, that like half the teachers are sort of shrugging their shoulders and smoking cigarettes and kind of like, well, at least she knew how to use the word myriad. It's kind of funny because there's only the one hippie teacher who's like, oh my God, we have to do something.
Yeah, and the principal,
popular.
The principal's like, was she a cheerleader? And they're like, that's the other Heather. And he's like, I would have given a half day for a cheerleader. Like, they're like so cold about it.
But so then, yes, so yeah, and then even people like that she was rotten to go up to Veronica and say, I'm so sorry. I thought your friend was a bitch, but it turns out she probably was deeper than that. And she's being canonized for this.
Yes, exactly. And
then Veronica and Heather cheerleader they go on a double date with these assholes. Like,
yeah.
why do they agree to this? Like,
Yeah.
it's
Heather, cheerleader Heather, basically just
not
doesn't.
smart.
Yeah, she's not smart. She's very sweet. She seems to be. I mean, sweet
She's
enough.
a nice girl.
Yeah.
She's sweet enough. I mean,
Yeah.
she goes along with the shitty stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe because everyone feared Heather Chandler so
Yes.
much that's why they did it. But she and it's, they're assholes, and also tipping cows is like.
She's like, as long as we're not going to be tipping cows in some field, and a cut to these drunk jocks are tipping a cow in a field, and they're drunk. Veronica and Heather are not drunk, I don't think. I think these two are drunk, and they like push a cow over because they're dicks. And the cut to the next scene where Ram, one of the jocks, is raping cheerleader Heather. Like, while
she's fighting him off.
Yeah, while Veronica's like walking away from the other drunk jock who's like falling. He like falls down and passes out or something. And JD shows up and was like, meh, like, what are you going to do? And then like, helps Veronica up the hill, and they like ride off together. And no one helps cheerleader Heather, by the way.
Yeah.
They're
she's got to find her own way home.
Yeah, no one stops what's happening over there. It's played as a joke too, like, and it's not a like. As a dark comedy. It's like not like ha ha. It's so hilarious.
Yeah, it's a dark comedy, and you have to keep that in mind. Like, they're gonna go. That's the thing with dark comedies is they're edgy, but like edgy doesn't age well usually.
Yeah, and that scene sucks. It's hard to watch. Anyway, the next day, the jocks are telling everyone that they both fucked Veronica, and she's like, and it's described so gross. They said they had a sword fight in her mouth. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Dudes are gross. So gross. So she's looking for some revenge. So JD like talks her into this idea of her luring them into the woods behind the school where they're going to shoot them with blanks with like tranquilizer bullets or whatever. He gives her this very stupid lie about how they're tranquilizer bullets that will pierce the skin but not kill them, and she believes it pretty easily. And there's this whole thing about they're going to make it look like a double suicide, and that they were
packed.
Yeah, and that they were lovers. And
right. And
yeah.
Once again, this is a dark comedy, and they're making fun of the homophobia.
Yes.
We do realize that there's a very high suicide rate with gay kids. So we have to, it's this very fine line that they're balancing. JD is for sure not homophobic, but JD hates these guys.
Yeah, he just hates these
assholes.
guys. Yeah.
And they are assholes, let's be clear. I mean, one of them, is a rapist at this point.
Yes.
And they lied about Veronica, and they spread the rumors all around school. So they have them, like, they have mineral water and a postcard of Joan Crawford and something. It was so stupid. Like, then they're like, this is Ohio. And they're in Ohio, by the way. Yeah. That's what we should also say. So he's like, if you're not chugging a brew, you might as well. Right. So
it is the thing. It is the thing, too. When the cops pick it up, they're like, does this answer the question? Like, it's the mineral water. It's so stupid.
But so everyone believes it's a double suicide pact.
Yes.
Dying by suicide. So then they're buried, and they're buried next to each other with the footballs and their head chests and their helmets on their head. And JD's cracking wise, and Veronica laughs, and then one of their sisters of the boys that died looks back at her, and Veronica realizes, like, oh shit, this is really real. We're wrong.
We're wrong. We're really, we're not only killing people, but we're also like really hurting people on top of all of that. And like JD has this line where he's like, football season's over. They had nothing to offer the school except date rape and AIDS jokes, which is
true.
Which is true, but they don't deserve to die for. Well, maybe the date rape, but
it's I mean, look, once again, this is a dark comedy.
Yes.
And then then the hippie teacher's like, now we took out football players. We at least have to have a school assembly.
We
And
need to
then
talk
they
about this.
Right. And so of course they bring a camera crew to all these kids
God,
and
so
all
gross.
the kids are being interviewed like, oh, it's so sad. What's happening here? It's like being kids. Like there's
Yeah.
a camera. Ooh, I want to go in front of the camera. I want to be in the news.
Totally. And by the way, this is a thing. Like, when I was in high school, we had a couple of classmates who, within my 4 years, like died by suicide. And at some point, people who don't really know these people try to make it about themselves, because teenagers can be really fucking self-absorbed. And by the way,
Yes.
they were like, oh, I sat by him in math, and and then they try to make it more of a connection than there was to.
Yeah, it's also being young, and but also like people also who you and I talk about this off the air,
Yeah.
but like people who describe themselves as empaths can do something like this.
Y'all, if someone describes themselves as an empath, you should run. Like,
Yes.
most of the time, they are quite the opposite. Anyway. Yes, so that's what's happening there. Like it's really icky. Like they're all like holding hands and like at one Shannen Doherty's Heather Duke, like she runs to like every news camera and says the same thing over and over. Like, we used to share clothes because we're the same size. Like, again, like playing into her like eating disorder. Like,
But then the next scene, she's
yes.
like eating a fried chicken leg in the locker room, like
Yes.
just like bye bye.
Yeah, now that the lead Heather is gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, she can digest food now because the lead Heather is gone. And then JD asks her to like step up and be like the lead Heather now, which she doesn't read any weird thing into. She's like, okay, like, I'll be the lead Heather now. But he asks her to like take this petition around and have everybody sign it. And he tells her it's because he wants this band called Big Fun to come and play the prom. And because they had released a song called Teenage Suicide. Don't do it. I'm sorry.
Do you remember the Queen song? There was a Queen song called Don't Try Suicide.
I don't remember the Queen song.
And the
but...
chorus is Freddie Mercury saying, nobody gives a damn. That's like, wow. Okay.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the reason I snicker about it is because like there were so many of these kinds of songs in the 80s where like statement songs. Like we had the We Are the Worlds and the Do They Know It's Christmas and
the homeless songs.
Yes, and the songs about homeless and stuff like that. And you know what? I realized
Man in the Mirror.
Oh God. I totally glossed over the fact that at the funeral for the two football players, the dad says, I love my dead gay son. That is, again, one of those quotable lines that people like to blurt out. So I shouldn't have glossed over that line. We would be remiss if we did not say, I love my dead gay son. Oh, yeah. So she's going around with the petition. There we go. That's where I was. To get everyone to sign. They want this band to come and play, but is that really what's happening? What else? Oh, and Veronica's also like, I'm not doing this anymore. She's done with JD. She knows he's super toxic.
Also, Martha,
yeah.
There's a girl they call Martha Dunstock is her name, but they call her Martha Dump Truck.
Yes, because they're awful.
It's because they're awful, and they forge a note that says like a guy has a crush on her, and she goes over to him and stuff like that. So Martha's picked on a lot, and so then Martha puts a suicide note on her chest and walks into traffic, but she gets hurt. She doesn't kill, but it's sort of like she can't catch a break, right? And then it's sort of like it escalates, like the kids are now talking about it openly. Then we have cheerleader Heather who's calling the Hot Probs show.
Yes, which
is
again,
like their love line.
Yes, ask your parents about radio shows. That was a thing that we all used to listen to, like your love lines.
Dr. Ruth.
Yeah, where people would call in and usually anonymously and share their problems or ask questions or whatever. And yeah, cheerleader Heather calls in and does not do a very good job of pretending that she's someone else.
She really gives away all the identifiers.
Yes.
And when the other Heather and Veronica hear her, Shannen, let's just say Shannen Doherty, because Shannen Doherty had a reputation. She's not doing great now, so you can all look that shit up.
Yeah.
But anyway, she's like, oh, I'm going to destroy her. And then you see the next scene, she's in class, and it's because she didn't make head cheerleader, and she just writes on the chalkboard, poor little Heather.
Yeah, and she starts crying in class and runs out.
And then she runs out and then goes to the bathroom, and then she's attempting to take a bunch of pills, and Veronica forces them out, and Veronica's like, come on, this is not worth it. Come on, let's go shopping. Let's forget about this shit. So JD is nuts. She goes to his house. He has a whole thing where he and his father don't really communicate. They switch roles when they're talking, like, hi son, hi dad.
It's so weird. It's so weird.
And he mentions that his mother dies and she's in a building that explodes. And he shoots the television at one point, and my favorite line is Veronica's like, that's it, we're breaking up. And then he goes to Veronica, and then there's also a thing with Veronica's parents, like, they're sweet, but they don't really know what's happening.
Yes.
And he goes to their house, and when she comes home, they're like, hey, he just came by. He says we should be looking out for you, that you're dangerous. We should hide the sharp things.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing I want to ask you is Veronica's always wearing these blue tights.
Yeah.
I'm like, wouldn't those would be the first thing that would come off my body as soon as I got home? Like, her feet must stink.
Yeah, I don't. As someone who wears all kinds of different colored tights with my dresses, tights are the first thing I take off when I get home.
Yes.
Immediately. By the way, I'm like Mr. Rogers when I get home. Like, I take all that shit off.
Everything, the shoes, all that. But anyway, he sets up a doll in her room to make it seem like she's hanging herself,
yes.
like to threaten her.
And he's copied her handwriting.
Right.
Yes.
And she sort of fakes a suicide for him. And then it's funny because her mother walks in and she just like jumps off like, okay, hi, bye.
Yeah. The mom's like, I should have let you get that job at the mall. It's like instantly like how she's to blame for what's happening. Because that's what moms do.
That's what anybody would do. Yeah. I mean, you feel bad about it. And then he's saying that he enlists Shannen Doherty to get this petition signed. And the reason that it's actually, we find out, it's not that they're signing up for big fun to have play.
How disappointing.
Right, which would have been fun. No, they're setting it up. Big fun. It would be big fun. He's setting it up that he is going to bomb the school, and that basically all these kids are co-signing this. Yeah, it's
a group suicide note at this.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it gets really dark because he's in the basement of the gym, and Veronica chases him, and he beats her.
Yeah.
Like,
Andy sexually assaults her again too. Well, like, it's not enough that he, knocks her out. He attempts to sexually assault her again. And he gives a big speech about, like, this is going to change everything. It's going to, everything's going to be different after this. And,
and she realizes it's not, because Shannen Doherty's being an asshole. Like, as soon as the other Heathers are done, she's like, she assumes her position, which is the queen bee, and doesn't care.
No.
Yeah.
And we all know now that this would absolutely change nothing. Like, again, like, not to get too dark and fucked up here at our fun dorking out show, but like, we've had mass shooting after mass shooting in this country, and our politicians aren't doing shit about it. Even if he blew up the school and all of these kids died, nothing would change.
Right.
And that's what I took away from it this time. Again, adult Sonia had very different feelings watching this movie. I still like the movie very much.
It's great. It is. But yeah, it's like at this point, I'm like, I thought like it kind of drags out a little bit, this whole plot where he's going to bomb the school and then he has a speech with her, then he has another speech with her. And then they're outside and he has the bomb strapped to himself.
Mm-hmm.
So then he kind of gives her the note like, I'm going to blow myself up.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna do it away from the school so nobody gets hurt.
Yeah.
And he does.
Yeah.
And then the scene is of her smoking a cigarette. There's like black soot all over her face.
I like there's a couple of things I love the stuff at the end where she like says, you know what I want, babe? Cool guys like you out of my life, which I wrote girl same. And then when she goes outside and she's all fucked up, like and he wanders out and he's fucked up. She shot off his middle finger at one point, like, and he's wearing the bomb. Like and he's like, I'm going to do this thing. She just puts a cigarette in her mouth and waits. Like, she doesn't try to stop him. Like, she's like, enjoy, knock yourself out. You know?
Yeah, it's for the best.
Yeah, and she's looking down at him.
Escalating.
Yes.
Because he's escalating and he's just a mess of a person. And it's a comedy. It's a dark comedy. So he blows up. We don't see him blow up. It just happens.
Yeah.
And then she walks in. And my favorite thing is that she takes the red scrunchie that is passed around. It's like, who's the lead Heather? Takes that scrunchie and then kisses Shannen Doherty, like, all that soot on her face, and then walks over to Martha and says, hey, my date kind of flaked on me. Do you want to hang out at my house and we'll watch movies? And she's like, yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, and then they're like walking down the hall and like Martha's like riding her scooter like around her. Like I'm really glad that this is the ending they went with, because the original ending was he succeeds and the school blows up. And then there's a weird like prom in heaven. And I'm like, and I was like, I don't think the movie gets the status it gets with that. If that was the original ending, I'm not sure that people would still be talking about this movie the way they talk about it now. Like,
like you said at the top of the show, like the lesson is that she chooses herself.
Yes.
And is going to be a better person and is not going to fall for bullshit.
Yeah.
Which is I think that's a really good message.
Yeah, I think so too. Because she's already not chosen JD, and to an extreme where she like literally shoots off his middle finger, which might as well be his dick in this movie. And then to reject like Heather, the Shannen Doherty Heather, like she's rejecting them too. She is fully choosing herself, which I don't think I took at the time, or really understood at the time. But now I watch it and I'm like, I like that ending very much.
Yeah. She doesn't have to kiss the boy and it makes her a complete person. Right. She's gorgeous. She's beautiful. There'll be lots of boys she will kiss in the future. Like right now, she's just going to be taking care of herself and making sure the school's a better place.
Yes.
Which I like.
Me too. It's a really good movie. It's hard to watch sometimes because, again, some of the shit has not aged well, but I think there's some really, really good stuff in this, and everyone's really good at it. Good in it. Sorry, good at it.
Good in it. And did you hear the trivia is that Shannen Doherty, so they were all really teenagers, like most of them. I think Lisanne was like really 23 when she said she was 18. But like Winona was 15 when she started the movie. Shannen Doherty was 17, and she was on Little House on the Prairie for this. She was a child actor.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're all really young. I forget my point. Oh, Shannen Doherty, supposedly they had the premiere and she left the theater in tears, and she went up to the producers and was furious. She goes, I didn't know this was a comedy. Like idea.
But you know what? That works for her performance in this movie.
Absolutely it does. Like she takes, Lisanne Falk says like, yeah, she didn't have a great sense of humor about herself. Like she kind of took herself very seriously, but that totally works for that performance because that's how the character would be too.
Yeah, I think, and she's really good in this movie.
She's a great actress.
Yeah.
I like her. Yeah. I mean, I don't know about being friends with her, but
Do I want to work
enjoy
with
her.
Shannen Doherty? No.
No,
But
no.
she's
I wouldn't
very
wanna-
good at what she does. Like,
Yeah, and I loved Beverly Hills.
Me
And
too.
she did a TV movie about Margaret Mitchell, who wrote Gone with the Wind, and she was really good in it.
oh,
Yeah, she's got some credits. Mallrats isn't my favorite thing, but that's not her fault.
yeah.
I think I think she's great. I think and then it's really sad because Kim Walker died. The one who says, "Did you have a brain tumor
Yeah.
for breakfast?" And she died of a brain tumor.
I know. It's so sad. She was young.
Ah,
So-
31.
Yeah, I read that. And she got the part 'cause she was dating Christian Slater at the time.
And he broke up with her so he could hook up with Winona Ryder when she turned 16. And he was 19, that's not too big of a difference. I
Right.
mean, but yeah. I mean, look, their chemistry is off the charts.
It really is. It really, like, they should. Have they made another movie together? Because they really
No.
should. They
They
really
should
should.
do one of those holiday movies that we love.
Oh my God.
That's what they should totally do.
Inject that into my veins.
Make it a Halloween movie. Yeah,
I would
have a
watch.
creepy side to it. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to put that out into the world. I did want to. So Heather Graham apparently was offered the role of Heather Chandler.
Roller Girl.
Yeah, Roller Girl herself, or Heather Graham from Diggstown, if you will.
There you go.
But she, obviously didn't take it. Apparently there were also talk of, for Veronica, Justine Bateman was maybe considered, which timeline lines up, but I think it needed to be Winona Ryder.
Winona is the person we identify with.
Yeah.
And those big eyes that she has, and she's so expressive, and she's so funny, and she can do anything. Like
Yeah.
I adore her in this part.
Me too. And then Jennifer Connelly was also apparently someone considered for Veronica. And Jennifer Connelly's beautiful and a great actress. So, but I was like, no, it has to be Winona Ryder.
Yeah, it really works that you have a teenager in the part.
Yeah. And then Brad Pitt apparently read for Christian Slater's part, which I was like,
I
no.
can see.
I'm like, yeah. And I was like, but I think Christian Slater is perfect.
I love it how in interviews Christian Slater's like, I'm doing a Jack Nicholson impersonation. I'm like, yeah, no duh.
No
We
fucking
all
duh. Did somebody
saw
not get
that.
Did nobody get that? It's pretty obvious.
Yeah, he was doing Jack Nicholson via Witches of Eastwick, which is it's a great choice. I think that because those characters are very similar.
Yeah, I think so too. Do you want to hear about some of the other 1989 movies?
Yes, please.
Okay. Speaking of Christian Slater, Gleaming the Cube came out.
I surprisingly never saw that. It's a skateboard movie, right?
Yes, it sounds like it's about masturbation, but it's really about skateboarding.
I'm gleaming my cube.
I'm gleaming my cube. What are you doing over there, gleaming the cube? We're children. Okay, also in 1989, The Burbs.
I love the Burbs.
Yeah, we should do The Burbs this in October. That would be
Definitely.
super fun. Dream a Little Dream with the Coreys.
That is the most bizarre.
That movie's
movie.
bananas.
We might have to talk about it.
Yeah. Lean on Me.
Yeah.
Crazy
that
Joe.
movie.
Crazy Joe.
They used to call me Crazy Joe. Now they call me Batman.
Batman. A couple of sequels here. Lethal Weapon 2.
I actually liked Lethal Weapon 2.
I was
For
all...
the time. Joe
When-
Pesci.
When I saw Lethal Weapon 2, I was 100% convinced it was better than Lethal Weapon 1.
Same.
And
I
it
was
wasn't...
in the bag.
Yes. And then years later, I did like a rewatch and I watched a whole bunch of the Lethal Weapon movies and I was like, no, the first one's better. But I get why I liked Lethal Weapon 2. Also, Back to the Future 2.
My least favorite Back to the Future.
Yeah. Pretty ambitious, but not my favorite.
No.
Okay, a couple of thrillers here. Sea of Love.
That's a good movie.
It's a good movie. I believe it's on Netflix. If y'all want to watch it, we should do that one sometime. That would be fun.
Yeah.
Black Rain.
Black Rain. I don't know. Is that the one with Michael Douglas?
Yes. And I saw
Yeah.
this because it had Andy Garcia in it.
Arr.
And I was hot for Andy Garcia. Still Still, actually, he could have all of this.
Because you have a pulse. That's
Yes.
why. Everyone's hot for him.
Yes. And then speaking of people that are hot, the fabulous Baker Boys.
Yeah, that movie's kind of all over the place.
Yeah, Michelle Pfeiffer, though, is...
And Jeff Bridges,
Yeah.
their chemistry.
Yep.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
How were they not banging?
Yeah, and
I don't
she
wanna-
is gorgeous in this movie.
And can sing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, love it.
Do you want to hear the top 10 songs for when this movie came out?
I can't wait.
So the movie came out March 31st, 1989. Number 10, Debbie Gibson, Lost in Your Eyes.
I loved Debbie Gibson. Loved.
Number 9, Vanessa Williams, Dreamin'.
Yeah, love that song too.
Number 8, REM, Stand.
Yeah, I mean, I always love REM. Where's their reunion tour? I would go to that.
They retired.
I know. I loved
this
loved
one.
REM.
They were excellent. Number 7, Walk the Dinosaur. Remember that?
Yes. I
Open
love
the door, get on the floor. Everybody
walk
do the dinosaur.
So good.
Number 6, you could not escape this song. Still can't. Fine Young Cannibals. She drives me crazy.
My sister had this on cassette and listened to it so much.
It's in commercials
Yep.
all the time. Number 5, Mike and the Mechanics, The Living Years.
Boo!
The biggest bummer.
Put it on a mixtape with Teenage Suicide. Don't do it.
Do it. Number 4, Rod Stewart, My Heart Can't Tell You No. This is when he went middle of the road. He was like, fuck
Oh,
that
yeah.
rock shit. I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, I wasn't into this Rod Stewart.
No. Number 3, Roxette, The Look. Great song.
Yep.
Number 2, Milli Vanilli, Girl, You Know It's True.
That song was so good.
It is. And number 1, this one I think is it has its haters and it has most people love it. The Bangles, Eternal Flame.
I like it because I like the Bangles, but at the time I didn't want to hear it one more time.
Exactly. Yeah, I feel the same way.
But I like them. So
I love the Bangles.
yeah, I would listen to them now for sure. What else are you dorking out about, my friend?
So I was on IMDb doing research for this podcast
Ooh.
because I'm a professional.
Yeah, that we do our research here.
I do my own research. So there's a lot of people who leave review. The IMDb reviews are my favorite because it's like 1 star, 5 star, 10 stars. People just, they're very opinionated.
Yes.
Lots of, capitalizations, exclamation points. And there's a movie from 1976 called Massacre at Central High.
Okay. Yes. Yes.
And I've never seen it before. And all these people are like, this is a ripoff of that movie. And enough people liked it. I'm like, fuck it. It's on Tubi.
Yeah.
I'll
Okay.
watch it. It's an hour and a half. It is the dumbest thing ever. But it's 1976. And it's about these 3 or 4 guys in a high school that are thugs. And basically they make everybody's life miserable. And there's a new guy that shows up at school. And he, for some reason, everybody likes him. And so he kind of sees through their bullshit. And they get angrier and angrier at him. And then they hurt him in a way, like they crush a car on him.
Oh.
And so he has they kept calling him the cripple. And it's like he just has a limp. It's not like he's,
Right.
whatever. But he sets up these deaths for these mean dudes. And it's a high school, like Grease. Everyone's really like 25, but they're playing 15. And one of them is they're hang gliding. And the guy's equipment malfunctions, and he hits a telephone wire, and he electrocutes the guy.
They're just hang gliding like you do.
Like you do.
Yeah.
Then there's another guy that's really into swimming, and he doesn't tell. He hides a note from the janitor that they took the water out of the pool. So the guy goes to the pool. It's in the basement, and he's like, "Why don't the lights work?" Who cares? I'm just going to dive into this pool. And he dies.
He can't tell there's no water in the pool.
No.
That's scene. All right, maybe I need to watch this movie too.
You kind of do. And then there's like there's a horrible scene where these two girls are being sexually assaulted, and then he beats those guys up, and then they really go after him because he interrupted their good time.
Mm-hmm.
But he starts just killing off people because as soon as all these assholes are dead, former nerds, all dudes, are starting to act like assholes because they feel like it's their time. So then he has to kill them one by one. And it's more and more ludicrous. There's one time where he, like a boulder, crushes this threesome. There's like 3 kids that are having sex. And obviously they're all like paper mache boulders that like bounce on a hill and crushes this couple. It has extraneous nudity because it's 1976 and everyone wanted to see people's boobs and butts.
Yes, of course.
They're skinny dipping. It's bananas. It's terrible. The acting, the writing, it makes no sense. And I guess I'm saying I enjoyed it.
Nice.
5 stars. Like it's
5
not
stars.
good,
Did you go to IMDb and immediately put in your 5 stars?
No, I should though. I mean, I'm telling you, I love IMDb reviews because they're so angry or they're so passionate about the topic. So that's Massacre at Central High. Netflix, I don't know if we mentioned this last week or not. Ripley, I loved it. I raced through it.
So good.
So fucking good.
I'm not finished yet, but I'm up to, I'm more than halfway. I think I've got 2 episodes left. It's so good. And it's beautiful to look at too. Like on top of the great performances, it's beautiful to look at.
There's also a show there called Baby Reindeer.
Oh yeah, I haven't watched it yet.
It's kind of based on a true story. It's a Scottish comedian. I'm sorry, I didn't write down his name. He premiered it at Edinburgh, and he, in real life, was molested, and then had a stalker. And he had a stalker with this woman who followed him for years and left him like 10,000 emails, and he had to get the cops involved and stuff. And this is a show that's kind of based on that.
Okay.
It's got some dark elements once again.
Yes.
But it's interesting. Like you don't know anything like it.
His name is Richard
Apple.
Gadd.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you so
welcome.
much. And so it's a show on Apple called Sugar.
Yeah, that's on my list too.
Yeah, my friend Salma is in the 2nd episode. She plays a waitress.
Oh, okay.
And who is the star? The Irishman.
Colin Farrell.
She's always like, "That's my boyfriend," and she said she filmed this scene with him. He's delightful.
Aw,
He's sweet.
I love that.
And kind. Nice to everybody. It talks to everyone. It's a goddamn delight. And
Yay.
Then, so everyone can feel good about that. And then on Max, there is a documentary called Brandy Hellville.
Ooh, I haven't started that one yet. It's on my queue.
We're old. This is a store that was really popular like 10 years ago. And so the people that are talking look like they're 12 to me, but there's this, there's like the 2000s, like it's all a big blur to me, but there's this time when it's like 2014 and they have these really young, white, very thin women working at all their stores and posting on social media. And they only buy size small. They only have size smalls and things.
Geez.
So there's this just whole thing about people being exploited and this and also it's an important watch because I've really become aware of this last couple of years is disposable fashion.
Yeah.
Where you buy something super cheap just to wear to one event and then you throw it in a giveaway bin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or, and this shit gets shipped all around the world.
Yeah.
And they're winding up in countries where people don't even know what to do with it. They just have this masses and masses of just T-shirts and clothes that nobody wants. And they're trying to figure out, and if they don't accept it, then they don't get money from the government. And so they trying to figure out what can we do with this stuff and then make it manageable so they're not overwhelmed. But it's when you see how much, just tons and tons of just crap.
Yes.
That's, it takes a really long time to disintegrate and you can't just bury it what do we do with this stuff? And so I've like sworn off, like I'm not going to shop H&M.
Yeah, we've. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's just I'm really trying to like cut down on like t-shirts I buy and stuff, you buy once and then you never think about it. And then I've done this. I just thrown it in the trash because I'm just like, I can't get to the bin. I don't want this. I'm just going to throw it away. And it's just like, it's a part of the problem. It's like, there's just, so anyway.
Well, and it's like constructed poorly. So if you wash it, it just disintegrates anyway. So we did an episode on What a Creep about Temu and Shein. And the fast fashion of it, but also the working conditions of the people that are creating all the things that people are then throwing away. So there, it is like, it's shitty on all ends for that one.
It's we're and it's also now we're dumping on Black and brown people our problems, so that white people don't have to spend too much money to get an outfit. Right? And it's. What's the cure? What do we do? Because clothes can be really expensive. And if you really are just going to wear it one time, it's hard to, for some people, it's hard to come up with that money for that one occasion to wear the thing versus, maybe try to go to a thrift shop and buy something. Yeah. I'm really going to try to change my habits because it really made me aware.
Well, I'm definitely going to check it out.
Yeah. But it's like, I should say trigger warning about eating disorders because there's like, it's really, really blatant, like how much they just wanted these girls. They're like 18, 19 years old and just really, really skinny.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Good to know.
That's it.
Okay. Did you watch What Jennifer Did on Netflix?
No, it's on I'm going to watch Paddington tonight and then I'm going to watch What Jennifer Did.
Okay. It's good. It's sad. And I really, really, really wish it had a different title. Because they're telling you right there in the title what happened.
What she did.
Yes.
Who did it?
Well,
Jennifer.
Yeah, it's right there in the title. I'm like, I would have been way more invested. And not that I wasn't invested, because it's a real story. Like, this really happened. It's really awful. Like, these, parents there's an attempted, the mother dies, the father is injured, and the daughter is not injured. She's, like, tied up at some point, and, instantly what the deal is. And I was like, well, that was stupid. Like, it would have been really interesting to not know that Jennifer did it.
Was it in Canada? Was it up in?
Yes, in Vancouver.
Ontario?
Like Vancouver.
Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah, then I know what it is. Yeah.
Yeah,
I had a feeling. It's
an interesting story, and there's a lot of how they talk about like the pressure that like that are on teenagers to succeed and date the right people and like all of these things, but like it just would have been a different title would have changed my perception of this whole thing because I wouldn't have known instantly who did it. It's so that part I was like, oh, come on now. You could have even had like what she did or I don't know, but don't like that part. But I think it's really well done. It's a very well done documentary. Check it out. It's on Netflix. Speaking of well done documentaries, I went to the zoo yesterday with my kid. Stay with me here, everybody. And Calvin and I spent a lot of time in the insect house, which gross. Like all I do is itch when I'm in there. Like I'm like, they're all looking at me. And I remembered that there was this documentary called Microcosmos, and it's all about. It's like Blue Planet. Where they get that insane footage of bugs, of insects, like close up, how they interact, what they really look like, what they do when we're not around, like stepping on them or squishing them with paper towels or whatever. And it's on the Criterion channel right now. And it's like an hour 15. And I showed it to Calvin and he was so into it because there's just this stuff where like there's like a dung beetle and it's trying to like push a a big ball of clay like up a hill, and it keeps like rolling over, and then it gets stuck on a stick, and you're like, come on, dude, you can do it. Like, Calvin was so invested in what was going to happen to this beetle, and then it like, you know, he finally gets it over the spoilers, but he actually succeeds. And it's beautiful to look at if you can tolerate close-ups of ugly, slimy bugs.
Yeah.
And it's really, really well done. And I really like nature documentaries. So it's on Criterion if you already have Criterion. I think they have like a whole animal section, maybe. And that's where it is. So go ahead and check it out. I am still watching Vanderpump Rules. I have all kinds of thoughts and feelings about Vanderpump Rules, which I've written about on my blog, so you can go there to check that out. I've also started watching their Vanderpump Rules after the show because this is Margot's fault. This is all Margot's fault. Margot has turned me into a Bravo girly. And now I am watching Vanderpump Rules and Vanderpump Rules after the show and The Valley. And I'm like, when is Below Deck Down Under coming back? Like, this is what I do now. This is all your fault, Margot. But I love you for it. I can't wait for the Vanderpump Rules reunion. I literally can't wait. I'm going to like make myself a cocktail and I'll have to order food or something. I don't know. I'm going to have to celebrate. It is just giving me everything I need. I also had Sugar on my list, which we already talked about. And then I am still watching Palm Royale with Kristen Wiig and Laura Dern and Allison Janney. It's so good. I'm really enjoying it. I love the way it looks. I want to wear all the clothes. It's I'm behind. I think the show is like all the episodes are out now, but I'm behind on it, much like Ripley. I'm too slow. But it's really good. Did you finish it?
Which one?
Palm Royale.
No, I have that tonight also.
Yeah.
Is it the last episode?
I think so.
Aw.
I'm behind. But you will not be sorry watching Paddington. It's delightful.
We're doing it for book versus movie, and the book is so cute. Stephen Fry does the audiobook.
Oh.
And it's just adorable. Everybody drink. I had a doctor's appointment in the city. I had to get a shot in my ankle, and I just like listened to Paddington the whole way there and back, and it just put me in a very good mood.
Stephen Fry has a great voice for that too.
He does.
He has.
I know he's a little pompous, like some people don't like him, but he can read delightfully, and especially like he does all the characters.
Oh,
and it's awesome.
That's so good. He has he reads some things on the Calm app. He's one of my go-tos. I like him very much. Well, his voice, I mean. And that's everything on my list. My friend, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me at Brooklyn Fitchick. That's my site. That's where I am for Instagram and Threads and Blue Sky. And then I'm at Brooklyn Margot for TikTok and Twitter.
Follow her on those things. She's always sharing great clips.
I'm trying.
Yeah, she's doing a great job. If you like the sound of our voices, and I'm sure you do because we're delightful, we also co-host a podcast called What a Creep, where we talk about creeps of the past and the present, and we end every episode with someone who's not a creep. And right now, we have an episode about Fox News's favorite celebrities. It's Dean Cain, Christy Swanson, and Kevin Sorbo with a great non-creep. Who's the non-creep? What's his name again?
Alan Richmond. He's the lead for the show Reacher on Amazon. And he's super interesting. So it's a nice balance.
Yeah, it's
fair and balanced.
It's a fun episode. It's really fun. So go ahead, check that out. If you want to find me, you can find me at thesoniashow.com and The Sonia Show on Twitter and Threads and Blue Sky and Instagram, TikTok, all the things. You can go to TikTok right now and hear my Mark Wahlberg impression. It's pretty good. No, it's not. It's not good. But you can go there.
You can listen to it.
You can listen to it. It's a thing that exists and it's there. Email us at dorkingoutshow@gmail.com. Like, Give us your address. We'll send you some stickers. And we also take requests. Like, send us your requests. You can also find Dorking Out Show on all the things. Twitter, Threads, Instagram, the website, all the things. My friend, this was so fun. I'm glad that we finally